that was a really good experiment, and I hope they didn't harm Coco in teaching and training her for human communication. So that really gave us a lot of information on those points. And Dr. Patterson wrote her doctoral thesis in psychology using Coco's case. And even after she received her doctoral degree, she lived with Coco, and she continued her communication and observation and research on Coco's communicative skills. Okay, for now, let's move on to some basic concepts in linguistics. We have quite a few students in this class who are in the language and literature department. For those of you who are in those departments, these might be too basic, very, very basic concepts in linguistics, but these are necessary for us to understand language and linguistic anthropology. All languages have primarily they have two parts. One is the sound part. That's what you are hearing, right? When I speak, you hear the sound. So sound part. But there is also meaning part. Sound and meaning. These are very primary two parts of any language, any human language. So phonemes are the basic sound units. Some languages have smaller number of phonemes. Some languages have more. And by combining these different sound units, you have words. You can have the sound of words. So you cannot divide any further when you divide certain sound into phonemes in each language. Many linguists study this sound aspect of languages. And when they study, there are some significant distinctions in each language. Later on, you will also watch a video where distinguishing different sounds in different languages. Allophones. It's about phonemes. Allophones are the set of sounds, set of phonemes, where aspiration is the distinction. So one is aspirated and the other is not aspirated, but the two sounds together are called allophones. Let me take an example to make it clear. We tend to think that the p sound in pin and spin is the same sound. We think they're the same sound. However, they are not. And in some languages, the difference is quite important. When you put your hand in front of your mouth and pronounce pin, you will definitely feel that air comes out of your mouth. So you feel air, pin. However, when you pronounce spin, you do the same and you don't feel any air coming out of your mouth. So they are not the same sound in languages where this distinction is significant. So they are called allophones. Also, the distinction between voiced phoneme and voiceless phonemes are important in some languages and not important in some other languages. So depending on the languages, the difference between t and d, for example, for this, you put your hand on top of your vocal cord, which is located lower neck. When you pronounce d, d, you will feel vibration of your vocal cord, and they are called voiced consonants. Voiced consonants. When you pronounce t, t, you don't feel vibration. They are called voiceless consonants. In some languages, these are very important markers. However, in Korean language, it is not. That is why the second largest port city in Korea, Busan, is alphabetized B-U-S-A-N. B is voiced consonant. So if I mimic the English native speaker's pronunciation of Busan, that will be Busan with voice, vibration of the vocal cord. However, Korean name Busan doesn't have any vibration in the consonant. So I personally disagree with BUSAN, that alphabetization, which was a change made during Kim Dae-jung administration around year 2000. A little before year 2000. So it's been over 20 years since they started to alphabetize Busan with B. And there have been many such changes when they decided to disregard the difference between voiced and voiceless alphabetization. And, so Daegu became from T to D, and many other changes. So in Korean language, voiced and voiceless consonants, the distinction is not very important, but in many other languages, including English language, it's a quite critical difference. So it might change once again. Who knows? Anyway, so these are some basic concepts of phonemes, and the structure of the whole sound system in language is called phonemic structure. That's the sound part of all languages. What about the meaning part? We use the term morphemes. Morphemes, that's units of language that carry meaning. That's the minimum unit that carry meaning. So it's not, we're not talking about the whole world. We're talking about parts of the world that carry meaning. We cannot divide further to retain the meaning. Again, like allophones, we have the concept of allomorphs, which is morphemes that carry the same meaning. If you put er at the end of a verb, for example, it means a person who carries out the act of the verb. So play, player is a person, right? IST carries similar meaning. Violin or piano, violin, then violinist, for example, harpist. So ER and IST are allomorphs. So, it carries certain, it conducts certain functions in language. We also know what syntax is. It's in Korean language, it's translated as 구문론. Here, 구 means phrases, and 문 is sentences. So its syntax is the rules by which larger speech units, phrases, and sentences are formed. And this is what makes it really hard for us to learn foreign languages, because there are rules, and as non-native speakers, sometimes it's very hard to understand why, and not everything is logical, because if there is a conventional use of certain rules, then non-native speakers basically have to memorize them, and just without questioning, you have to learn and use them. So syntax is often tested in language tests, right? The correct forms or correct way to make phrase or sentences. The complete description, including everything above, is called grammar. Okay, the complete description of a language is grammar. So this was a very short one-page summary of the basic concept in linguistics. And let's move on to the next page. One of the questions which is related with the Coco case and which has been one of the important questions that linguistic anthropologists especially have been interested, curious, and fascinated by is language development. How babies develop in their linguistic skills. And most people agree that it's a miracle. But that miracle happens all the time around us in so many babies, most of the babies. In such a short span of time, babies learn their native tongue. Sometimes the babies are born into dual bilingual environment or trilingual environment. Anyway, babies quickly learn the language in their own language environment. And the speed is amazing. And the way that this is done is also amazing. How do we learn? We don't learn our mother tongue in a classroom, right? We learn while we interact with others. So we interact with our main caretakers. Many of them are the baby's own mothers. In some other cases, there are other caretakers. And they constantly interact with the babies. They acknowledge, they try to give reaction, the right reaction, and they very smoothly guides the babies to use more accurate pronunciation, accurate way of expressing themselves. And when they do, the term motherese is important. That's introduced in our textbook. Motherese is the kind of words and sound that the caretakers make when they interact with the babies, encouraging the babies to express and guiding the babies to be able to speak, understand, and speak the mother tongue. Cooing, smiling, turn taking, eye contact, these are all the skills that are used in interaction with the babies. And through this, babies have language development very quickly and very efficiently. And, we command the language at a very early age. In the first of the video that we'll watch this time on this slide, the first one is only 3 minutes long. It's a case of motherese, what the mothers do. But I think there's no mother's face on the screen. Only you will be watching the baby's face, who happens to be just 2 months old at the time the videotape was made. And it's not a professionally made video. So it's like a homemade video, but you will see exactly what motherese is, which is explained in our textbook. So that's the first one for 3 minutes. The other one is a more organized lecture, a TED lecture actually by an academic, by Patricia Cole. She talks about the linguistic genius of babies. So I said that it's a miracle. So all babies are genius in their language development. And she focuses, one of the focus that she has in this video, in this lecture, is how early do babies learn the important distinction of sounds, like the difference between voiced and voiceless consonants. In some languages, like I said, it's important. In some languages, it's not. In Japanese language and Korean language, in both Japanese and Korean, the distinction between L and R is not made, which are really different sound, right? L and R. That is why when Koreans write down lice and rice, lice is a bug, right? Bug. That's a sort of a problematic bug for human beings. So when Koreans write down lice and rice, the grain, they write the two words in the same way. So when it's written in Korean, we cannot differentiate rice from lice. And in so many cases, it happens because we don't distinguish those sounds. But I don't think it means Koreans are not able to distinguish the sound. Koreans do, but in our phonemic structure, they are not distinguished. Patricia Cole did a research, very elaborate scientific research, to see when and how the babies start to make distinctions. So Japanese babies, early on, they start to learn some important sound distinctions compared to some other babies in different language environment. So the important differences are learned at an early age. So depending on the linguistic environment. She also talks about the importance of human-to-human interaction in language development, which I think gives many parents a really good advice. I know that in the hope that their babies will learn, their babies or children will learn foreign languages at early age. Some parents play videotapes of foreign language, foreign cartoons. According to Patricia Cole and many other specialists, that is not as effective as human interaction. So like using motherese, smiling, turn-taking, eye contact. So that kind of human-to-human communication is the way to attain native level proficiency in child's language development. So there are many other points. The TED lecture is actually longer, but I would like you to watch only the 10 minutes for the time's sake. The first one lasting for 3 minutes and second one is for 10 minutes. After watching these two, so you need to watch this back to back and take your first break. And I will write down the time that I would expect you to come back for the second hour. Let me copy this information. Okay, this is the first one. Okay, and second one. And please be back by 4:25, which includes watching the videos and taking your break.